Hello and welcome back. Today we are in the nice Fokker 50 again. However, this time I am going to demonstrate some useful websites that you can use for planning your flight. I do this because I wanna show to those people that might be using the Carenado aircraft that is more or less bound to the default aircraft and just gets one step further with the planning and such. I really try to make this as nice as possible for newer users to actually get along the learning curve, because flying and finding the best possible ways takes some time to get into. And right now I actually would show you how to plan your flight, how you can do that. Do note that I do not have the latest nav data, so it can be a bit tricky by using this technique. There are flight planning sites that you can use to actually just get your flight plan, but I'm this time going to show you how easy it actually is to build your own flight plan, because sadly X-Plane does not have the feature of creating a flight plan like you could do in FSX or Prepared, because from that aspect you can say that FSX and Prepared seems more user-friendly at that aspect, because in here you only have this map. Of course they have implemented it and you have the main nav aids in here, but I'm limited. I can't go that far out and see what actually is our main flight. So let's say that I want, in this particular case, we are going to fly here from Copenhagen Airport and back to Aalborg. That is somewhere up here. But I can't see that, so I can't just plan it that way. So there are a few ways that we can actually do this. There are the bulletproof method, and there are the way that you can use if you actually have the latest nav data. And a very useful website is SkyVector. SkyVector, you can go in and you can say where we're going to fly from Copenhagen to Aalborg Airport. Hit enter. Then we have the map here, just like we had inside of X-Plane, just that it is here is the latest data nav aids available. And what you can do to be safe is that you could fly according to the VR stations, because then you are 100% sure that you see what actually is inside the simulator anyway. Because that's the old method of navigating. So then we could actually fly from VOR station to VOR station if we would like to do so. And for this flight we would be using the airways, and up here you got the low airways, got the high airways, the high altitude, and the difference on the high and low altitude is actually just as it says, high and low altitude. Low altitude is below 25,000 feet as far as I remember, and high is above. So if you plan to fly at flight level 350, that is mostly the range of jets, then you would be using the high. Now we are using a turboprop, so we actually might maximum go to flight level 250, as far as I remember, 25,000 feet for this particular aircraft. But we're not going to fly that high. Then you would use the low airways. However, you have to decide whenever you want to fly VR to VR or fly full procedures, because it is the fewest sits and stars that actually starts or ends by a VR station. Of course, you can get pretty close to some, but it is mostly easy to just say either you do it or either you don't do it. And for this particular flight, we would be doing the method with using navigates. And now I can cheat a bit, because I can actually see here which waypoints that is actually in my nav database. I do both got Golga and Mixi, so I know that I can use those in order to get up to Aalborg. So we could plan to fly to Mixi, and I just say plan, and then it would enter it Aalborg to Mixi, and then you can say that we're going to fly up here to the Aalborg VR station. But I see, here we go. There we go. It made a mistake there, but it's rectified now. So in fact we would be flying up to Mixi. Then we would use the airway P990 up until we reach the Aalborg VR station. That would be one way, and that's the way that we are going to plan it. Then I can do another video where we actually are using the old school navigation, as then we probably would depart, fly to Trano, and then directly up to Aalborg VR station, or something like that. That's also an option. But right now we got our main flight plan that we could actually just go into X-plane, into the aircraft, and it is in a shutdown configuration, and I have set the ground power unit, so we just need some power here. And we got that going here. So now I can just open our FMS, and then we can press the flight plan page. I can then enter our current position, and we are going to fly to Aalborg as we said. And then we can go back here and say we was flying to Mixi. Okay. Mixi. There we go. Executed. Then we can go via. That's the P990. P990. And then we should be flying to AAL. There we go. Execute. And then we should be able to go to the legs page. Here you can see our previous position. It has set Copenhagen. Then we got Mixi, Asli. That's, as you can see here, that's the waypoint. And then up to Aalborg, just as stated here in the flight plan. So now we actually have planned our main flight. You can see here that we got some wind that we actually can set up by the layers. However, Windy TV weather, windy.com. That's a very nice tool, because here we actually can say at which altitude we would be flying, and then it actually can tell us at that particular, up at 10,000 feet. You can see here in which direction the wind is blowing, and there are a lot of layers here that you sorry, that you can expand. You can get temperature, you can get the dew point, you can get high and low and medium skies, fog, air pressure, yeah, there are a lot of features that you actually can use from there, as well as you actually can go in and see rain, where rain is suspected to be, as well as snow. It can tell you the depth of snow. And right now, by this map here, you actually see a green and red. It's sorry. It's actually the airports, as you can see. If we click here, we actually get the meter of the airport. So you have a lot of options here. Air pressure. You can even see the waves at the seas. The temperature. There are so many options, lightnings. It's a very nice website. And then another website I want to demonstrate here is this one. It can give you an indication of which runways are actually in use in real life at the moment. So let's say we have Copenhagen. It would make a calculation here. If it would. Okay, an error. Let's try it. That was weird. Normally don't have that problem. Seems that the website doesn't work properly. I apologize. It's actually been a nice website to get information about weather. But now we have our main flight plan, so that's good. Then we can go to the climb. We can go in and say transition altitude is around 5,000 feet here, Denmark. Cruise altitude 240. There we go. Climbing up to 24,000 feet. And now it is calculated for us. Okay. What we can do now is that we could go in to the departure page, set up Copenhagen, and we want the information here from Copenhagen, so we can switch to VFR, switch details, and then you could switch to the ATIS frequency, or you could just look down here and you got the information. The wind is 160 degrees, 10 knots, or I could have demonstrated my little project here, 160. And if you are not sure, you could actually take your autopilot here and adjust the heading to demonstrate where the wind is coming from. 160 degrees. 160 degrees. I'm scrolling, and that's one thing. It takes so long, and that's why I actually did my autopilot project, but I'm not going to use it in this video either, I think. So it is from over here. So I would suppose that runway 12 would be an option. However, normally it is 22 left, 22 right, 04 left, 04 right that is in use. So in fact 22 right might be a good compromise. So that's actually what I want to use, runway 22 right. Then we can see, okay, we got the Mixi 1 Charlie. I can set that up as well as the runway and press, let's go to the map mode here and then press execute. Now look here, we can see the main route, and now it's actually giving us a warning for the cruise altitude that we can't reach yet. And that was a thing that I did a bit on purpose, so you actually can see that the aircraft also tells you if it estimates that you are not capable of climbing to that cruising altitude. For a flight like this, you could say cruise altitude would be more likely to be 14,000 feet. That would be a better option. So now we actually have the waypoints, and you can see that actually Copenhagen has disappeared and that we got the Aalborg. Then we can switch to Aalborg and start planning our approach, and then we can go in here and see. That's actually something you also would be able to see here at Sky Vector for the airport. You can see the informations here. The wind is 100 degrees 10 knots. Yeah, 110 knots. So 80 knots. 80 would be the most optimum. Then we can say IS, and we can do it by the Aalborg as we was planning. There we go. It is now set, and now the aircraft is actually ready to fly. So it's pretty simple to get it up and running and set properly. Okay, so now let's start our main flight, because that's what we should do. Here we go. And I'm not going to follow the procedure as such. As you know, I want to make it as short as possible and demonstrate how easy it is, and that the aircraft is far from complex and in that aspect close to reality. But that's nothing new. There are a lot of add-ons that actually is that way, and perfectly fine. Because some people just want to have some fun and does not take it so serious, and that's probably also one of the markets that makes it possible to earn most money. Okay, let's close the left door and remove the ground power units and make a quick pushback. And we are going to push back with my handy little pushback plugin here. So I'm just gonna set it here, and then we are going to start the main push of our small Fokker 50. In reality, here at Copenhagen, it's like in Aalborg that the aircraft would be able to turn away from the airport without requiring pushback trucks. Do note the limitation here that I can't use the nose wheel because the engine is not running, even though if I set the hydraulics, it would not make any difference, because the engine is not running. I can set for starting the right-hand engine. However, in reality, this is this is not allowed in reality. So quite unrealistic. There we go. Stop the push. Here we go. Yips. I hit the wrong button there. Okay. And here we go. We are starting the right-hand engine. And then we can jump over and get the left engine running as well. We can then get this up here. And I apologize, I don't know what's wrong with my throat right now. It seems pretty irritated, even though I don't know why, because it seems to be a problem here when I actually talk a bit much. Okay. Engines up and running. Tech light can be switched on. Inspection lights as required. Generator there. Batteries on. Quite unrealistic here because they should be on. And it's just to demonstrate to you how you can see that things are not affecting the aircraft. And other things are, some things actually are linked, and if not done right, you can't start engines and such. You would know that from other projects as well. So some things are simulated and some things are not. Okay. And we are setting the flaps here. And then we would be taxiing out to runway 2 right here, in order to get going here out of Copenhagen, sorry. We're going to Aalborg. I apologize. And let's see if we actually can hit some rain, as we still haven't seen the rain effect on the windshield. So here we go. And no, it's not this runway we're going to depart at. Just gonna taxi a bit by it. And then we would make a right-hand turn. And that's basically because runway 12 is normally not used. It's mostly used during winter operation, because it's from what I know, easiest way of keeping the runway open, because it's only one runway instead of this dual configuration. If it's snowing a lot, but that's mostly when it is used, but also because of the noise restriction over Copenhagen city. Because the other way here, the aircraft are departing and leaving without getting through the Copenhagen area, so the sound over Copenhagen wouldn't be affected as much as it would. Okay, and here we are entering runway 22 right at Alpha 2. Alpha 1, sorry, I apologize. It's Alpha 1, of course. Alpha 2 is the next one. And we got information that we got 3,600 remaining runway, so that's nice. And yeah, it's stock airport, so you know the glitches here and there. And now we are ready for our main departure here out of Copenhagen Airport. And do note that I have been messing with the altitude, the cabin pressure and all that stuff. I guess you would know how to actually operate that. But here we go. Thrust are set. And then we just continue down the runway here. And as you can see, we are already airborne. Gonna reflect the landing gear here. And then climbing our way up here. Gonna get back inside here. And then I would switch on the autopilot, engage the nav, and make sure that FMS is selected, altitude select, and setting the airspeed. And it's pretty nice that you can see the aircraft actually made a bit of a turn. That's actually realistic enough. That it takes a bit before the aircraft actually registers the autopilot, and now the air traffic control could tell us to make a right-hand turn. In order to shorten our route, because that's actually what air traffic controls are doing. That's one of the key elements that they should try to make your flight as short as possible, and then we could actually go out and say, okay, fine, fly directly to Mixi perhaps. Then you would say direct intercept Mixi, start it and enter it, and then you could actually switch to the nav, and the aircraft would continue a right-hand turn here to intercept. As you can see here, it's up here, Asli is there, or how you would pronounce it. So now we are actually in business, we are en route, and we can optimize our airspeed a bit further. But it just is so nice. It's working pretty well. if you just know how to operate it. I would have loved to demonstrate a flight where we actually took the G-Gen 750. I don't have that. I really love how it actually works, and that. And from what I have seen for the Fokker 50, now they have implemented the later stock 737 FMS, MCU, call it whatever you want. Because the old aircraft here actually had some newer avionics. However, from what I have seen, it is an old school system, or more what it's called, an universal unit that you might not find in a lot of aircraft these days. Reminds me of a project that was made for SFX and Prepared. That I had that worked just fine. But that's it. Okay, and we are getting closer to our cruise altitude here. And that's nice, because then we can start accelerating even further. One thing that I have to say about X-Plane 11 here, it's the lighting for some of the later versions. I feel the lighting is a bit odd. I really have to say that. In some aspect it just looks odd. Okay, we start to get some icy condition here, so we would actually set some heating on now. Just in case. As you can see, the outside air temperature is dropping to -4 degrees right now. You can also see that down here. And then we can set this for decline and cruise in a moment. Here we go. Set it for the cruise configuration here. And it really look nice. I can't hide that I actually like the aircraft, even though I haven't said my I'm not commenting on my full opinion of the aircraft, because Carenado is the shiny stuff, and that's basically what tends to immerse you most, because it is like being there. Because right now, if it had been photorealistic, and my bar hasn't been there and tweaked with the settings of the weather and such, it could be as much realistic picture as simulation picture. And by the way, if you like my handy little bar up there with distance and airspeed and those things for your own videos, you can go to the explain.org forums. Under the files there, I actually have uploaded a simple version where you got basically this section here. Those over here are more for testing and in general information for me than for the public. So that's why I have modified it, and I'm open to suggestions for implementing other stuff that you might find useful. Because I tend to like how it is to the left, and then the rain, cloud base, and runway condition and turbulence 1, 2, and 3 are something that could be modified for something different in the public version, and perhaps for my version as well. Else I have to extend it to actually give more information about it, but I just feel that one line is enough, as it could also be too much. Fokker 50 KLM. As you can see, as I was mentioning, it was departing and shortened our flight path instead of flying out here and getting back to the main track. Sadly, SkyVector is not capable of showing you the Citizen Star procedures from my knowledge. And what would be important when you're flying DVR to VR is navlogged, that it can export. Then you get an navlog here with the headings and such, both the true and the magnetic headings and such, for use with it. And it can give you an indication. I can type in an airspeed. Let's say we're flying 200 knots at around 14,000 feet, as we are right now. Boom. It would say that the flight would take around 44 minutes. So it can also give you an indication of how long is this flight actually going to take. But do note that for getting the most realistic consumption, you would require to set an average speed. So now that I said 200 knots, that's probably not a realistic airspeed. Let's say 160 or something like that. Then it says 56 minutes. So that's a nice way of actually doing it. And right now you can see we are getting close to our Mixi waypoint that we was flying to, and then we slid, and then we actually would get up to Aalborg. In Explain here you could also get a reference of the wind. However, it is only for 2 levels. It would have been nice if it actually was so you could set it for what what altitude you would like, instead of just having 12,000 feet or 34,000 feet, because now I'm flying in an aircraft type like this. As I mentioned, it would get up around in the 20,000 feet. Then I really can't use the information from 12,000 feet or at 33 at flight level 340. Sorry, because you can see how different the wind is in direction and speed. And you can see here the difference. And the aircraft is flying nicely here. Go in here and say we want a coffee. Bit funny texturing when it's active, you can see, but anyway, it does the job. As well as moving, this is a bit odd, but anyway. Oh, you can even unfold. Nice. Okay, yeah, okay, that was a quick animation. Bit slower for getting out and retracted there. Boom, boom. Nearly instant. It looks most realistic when it is folded and unfolded. Yeah. Okay, even the armrest. I wasn't aware of that. I have to admit. I would remove it. Okay. However, then you still have the texture, like the shadow board, as you can see. Anyway, it is nice that it can be done. However, yeah, it is the fewest that probably is using it, because we are it's a flight simulator, not a flight experience simulation where we should be as a passenger. But anyway, I can't say that I'm not like some people that just say, well, it shouldn't be there, because there are some where I just say, well, okay, fine, it is there, and that's it. Some lines there, probably some lights that get in or something like that. But anyway, we are getting closer to our destination. Probably for the next flight. Now I said we could do the same flight in another video. I'm not entirely sure about that, because that would be too boring. I guess we could do it too often or something like that. Sorry the interruption. We have started our descent here to Aalborg Airport. Yeah, it isn't that easy to look at this small screen here to see the procedure as such. Probably if you had the DGN it would be more easy to see the main procedure. But that's how it is. Okay. Now we're gonna idle throttle here. And getting ourselves ready for our landing here in Aalborg. Weather seems nice. So we have had some nice flying weather along. So we don't have the problems with rain or thunder or anything like that right now. But let's see how it all goes. Probably in some hours it would change. Okay, and let's continue the descent here to around 2,000 feet. There we go. Continuing descent. And then air traffic controller can say they want us fly direct instead. Here we go. And we would do that, as then we would fly a bit parallel with the airport here. We actually have the airport up here straight ahead, right down there. Now we are turning a bit away from it. And now I am making ready for the landing here. Right now. In reality, we would probably have been flying over here more towards it instead of getting so close to the airport. But I want to show the airport from above as well. got this nice scenery from Vidandesign from John. Looks really nice. And yes, I know I've been showing it quite a bit now, but it is actually one of the only sceneries that I actually got for X-Plane 11. I only have a few for X-Plane 10, but again, it's to get something close to each other for making those videos here, to make it attractive for the end user here.
$2,500.
2,500. Cross-check. And now air traffic controllers, it serves to do the visual approach. As we are doing the visual approach right now, we are not going to follow the full procedure here, as that's also what's not, it's also not done in reality most of the time. They are vectoring us a lot. As I was mentioning before, the finest thing is to get us safely to our destination, but also to make our flying time as short as possible, because in the end it's also money for the alliance, and the more they can reduce their operational cost, the better. So let's see here. 1,000 feet, cross-checked. And as you can see, we have been flying pretty nicely here. And then we would do our straight in here. And we are going to take the left runway. That's normally what it is used. The right hand is more narrow. I have landed there, but it's not realistic. Let's get the landing gear down before we actually get an oral warning for not having the landing gear down. You would actually get a warning like what you heard there shortly. Okay, let's get the aircraft down on the ground. We are quite high.
500.
Sync rate, sync rate, sync rate, sync rate,
400.
sync rate,
Right
sync
now
rate,
you get a
sync rate,
reference
sync
of
rate.
some of the warnings that is possible to hear in this particular aircraft.
200.
Okay. We are still to the high side, but nevertheless, it's
100.
going pretty well.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Here we go. Do note that the brakes are very, very aggressively. They are really braking hard. Right now I have released the the reverse thrust here, and there you see how quickly it actually brakes as I just push the brakes. You can really brake the aircraft. So that's nice. Okay, and we have arrived at Aalborg Airport. Now we can taxi into the civil apron, as you can see. Do note that my frame rate isn't the best, and that's due to both the nice rendition of Aalborg, but especially of the add-on here. I can run other add-ons as well, but my system isn't that great performing. It can run it fairly, but that's also it. I could have liked a better graphic card, because it is the bottleneck here. It is the memory of the graphics that is the bottleneck here. I got a decent graphic card, but it could be better, as well as the CPU, even though I'm running 4.1 GHz stock. Without touching anything, it's motherboard settings. So that's it. But you see, we are around 30 frames per second right now. And you see, it can raise, gets to the exterior of the aircraft as much. It is the visual rendition of the aircraft. That is hungry on the frames here. So that's it. Okay. But you can see that the aircraft actually needs quite some thrust here in order to actually move, but then you also see that it can accelerate quite quickly. So you really have to adjust your throttles. And again, I'm limited to only a joystick. In the past I had rudder pedals and it all. And I really miss that, I have to say, but yeah. It would be no more different than trying to drive a car with only a joystick. I don't think that would be that easy in the end. But now let's take the opportunity to actually say thank you for watching, and I hope that perhaps you learned something about flight planning and such. Do note that I have, it's not because I forgot the strobe line, it's actually the strobe line and the beacon line seems to be linked. As you can see, if I anti-collision lights off, both the strobes and the beacon lights are set for the same Okay, so here we are. Let's shut down the aircraft and call it the flight. Oops. Ground power unit sets, so we actually can get some electricity for the aircraft, because we don't have any APU or anything like that. And I don't think this is as smart as the ATR that I have seen. I actually didn't know what they demonstrated for FSX and prepared, that it actually could be running one of the engines without turning the blades. I actually didn't know that, and that was some kind of the method of not having an APU, but actually by running the engine without spinning the blades, the propellers of that engine. Anyway, it was it. Thank you for watching and hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.